Like I said, his bread and butters are like... Yo, what's up guys? It is Lost Griff, one of my first official character guide for Multiversus. Now, Tom and Jerry is my main and by far my favorite character to play in this game. You know, I feel like it's the only character I'm pretty much suited right now to make a guide for because of just how much I've played him and how much experience I already have with him. I'm not like the best or anything. Like, I'm gonna just give you a peek at my rank. I am, you know, 4.7k, which isn't that bad. I mean, I think it's pretty decent. And kind of enough to give you an idea to how much credibility I have. And again, I was level 14 in Alpha playing Tom and Jerry, and I'm now at level 21, and I played a shit ton of labs and customs as well, so I do have a lot of gameplay on this character, so I know pretty much all of the tricks that most people would tell you about. If you guys enjoy content like this, make sure you drop a sub. I work really hard on Multiversus and Windows 1 content. If you want to watch either one of those videos, it will be commonly put onto this channel. But yeah, thank you guys so much for checking out the video, and here we go. I'm just going to start off with all of his moves, and honestly, we're just going to start with the specials and how they work in the air. The first move I'm going to talk about is his neutral beat. Now, this is probably one of his best moves. I genuinely think so. Slingshot is so consistently strong, and one of the main things I see actually in comment sections is a lot of people tell me how they don't use slingshot tennis ball, when in fact it's one of the best ways to control space. Now if I, for example, if I slingshot someone and then approach with that, it covers a jump. So let's say I do this and then I shoot a tennis ball, I can cover the ground and then approach from the air. So it's a really good way to cover space, on top of the fact of how your quirk works as well, which I'll also go over soon. It really just helps to cover a ridiculous amount of space. If you If you slingshot and then use a tennis ball and then shoot it at the same time with your tennis racket, make sure you go in the lab and practice this timing, boom, 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 and kind of get in that flow, or kind of figure out how to maximize, you know, value from it. So no matter where you're aiming, the tennis racket will always have the cork aimed towards you, never the opponent. And if you use a cat scratch, for example, like forward air, it'll aim where you're hitting. So let's say I catch out to the right, it'll cork to the right, and then if I do to the left, it'll shoot to the left. And the tennis racket always goes towards you, right? So if let's say I shoot it past them, and then I can just do this, and then it'll cork and hit them, right? So it's a good way to keep a sandwich on them. And also, there's a lot of niche uses to the tennis racket and also to the slingshot. I genuinely think it's one of the most unique moves in the game, and I use it constantly. It's one of my most common strengths. In fact, one of the most common combos you'll see with Tom and Jerry involves the down air into slingshot, which is, I'm not really, you know, the best at it yet. I'm still trying to perfect it, and that shows with how much I've played Tom and Jerry, how much I still struggle to land this combo consistently. So we talked about his neutral B. I'm going to talk about his side B now, his fishing rod. Now the fishing rod is decent. It can catch people lacking sometimes. One of my favorite ways to use fishing rod, and pretty much the only way I use fishing rod, is if I'm landing, I can stall my landing with fishing rod, because it'll pull it forward, and then you can stall it by pulling you forward. You can also use it to kind of snipe people. You can also use it to pick up your Jerry. So for example, if my Jerry's across the map, I can go ahead and fishing rod him. So it's somewhat consistent in picking up your Jerry, but I just don't recommend it. It's a very, I don't know, risky mix-up, so just be careful and sparing with how you use it. Down B is one of the best zoning tools, honestly, in the game. Now, this is kind of a hot take, but I genuinely think triple dynamite is so strong. It covers so much space, dude, and it does like a million damage. Like, if I get in someone's face and I down B, that was like 20 damage. If you hit all three or at least 2/6 of dynamite, you're doing a lot of damage, and it covers a ridiculous amount of space. So as someone who kind of needs to get off me move, this is like perfect. You can carry 2/6 of dynamite, in the perk dynamite split allows you to split it into 3, which is so useful. So yeah, that's mostly the use for the in-air down B or down special. But on-ground down special is something you do usually after you kill somebody. You're usually going to place a trap after you kill someone. So let's say, you know, alright, so I killed him. So I'm going to place down my trap real quick, and then immediately I have some area I'm already covering. So often after I place this trap, I'll either put up an up B to threaten the ground, and then maybe even try to start a pan combo off it, because you can actually pan out of in low percents, you can pan out of this move if you hit it at the right time, which does literally 25 all at once, which is crazy. And if you're running the Ignite perk, it also ignites them. So it's just a great overall move, and that is a move I'll talk about next. So, up B. This move is okay on the ground. It doesn't really work that well at high levels. Like, if people know what they're doing, you will not see them get hit by this very often. But one of the best ways I like to do this is that if I'm taking a 50-50 with someone, for example, I'm noticing a Finn has a common problem with using normals in the ground, for example, and I notice they're just constantly approaching me, you know, constantly trying to spam normals on me. I'll, like, maybe throw out an up B and then approach them, and if they jump, I can cover that with this, and if they don't, I get a free 15 damage. It does a ridiculous amount of damage, but again, it's really predictable. Don't use it very often. One of my favorite uses for it at like 40+% is pan into up B. It doesn't hit very often, but it can hit sometimes, and it does a lot of damage. You kind of have to be like at the right angle to hit it, so you cannot be like on top of someone. You won't hit it most of the time. You have to be like, they have to be like in front of you. So make sure you're aiming and have them not be on top of you, because if they're on top of you, it won't hit. I'm pretty sure it's true though, at most percents. And it does a lot of damage, as you can see. Again, it does like 25 damage. You can also do grounded up B out of a pan. It's kind of a mix-up, but it can keep combos going, or strings going, I suppose. So that is all the specials. Very complex amount of specials that kind of take a lot of time to go over, I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot more niches of the specials I'll mention as I go through the video, but just, it's so hard to go through this character without taking like 10 minutes for each move, because there's so many complexities to all of them. So let's just go to his other moves. So here are all of his attacks. So his ground jab, what I like to call it, you know, this hammer, I don't really know what the specific move is for it, or the technical term is for it, but this is one of the best ways for covering spaces of Tom and Jerry. This is like, honestly, such a strong jab move, and I think it's one of the best in the game, because it covers so much space, and the end lag is kind of rough, but if you cancel out the third hit, you can like pretty much cancel it into most moves. So like if I put on dodge, for example, on this guy, I can pretty much do that into most things. Boom, boom, boom. Unless they're like absolutely spamming dodge like this AI is, you can get a lot of damage out of the move. So honestly, it's really strong. And his tennis racket, like I said, it applies to every single projectile in the game, as far as I know, except maybe a few of them, like that are very, you know, obviously not reflectable. Pretty obvious. It's probably pretty obvious which projectiles you can't reflect. I've never really tried stuff like safe and everything, but I obviously don't think you can. But anyway, tennis racket pretty much applies to all of your projectiles. So if I shoot a cork towards me, I can reflect it with a tennis racket. So if I full charge this, so for example, if I have a Jerry right next to me, right, when I shoot him downwards, I can full charge a tennis racket and then shoot a cork at someone. It does like 11 damage. Because it times it, it shoots the exact same time you finish charging it, and it does 10% damage. So it's a really good way to actually zone people off sometimes. You can do this, and then insane zoning right there. Do that. Just it does a lot of damage. One of the best ways to stop approaches, in my opinion. Another way to use it is a shoot behind them. Shoot Jerry behind them, like very far, and then just snuff out approaches with it. So just tennis racket is overall really useful. Use a lot of applicabilities to it. And again, you can use the dynamite with it, which is kind of hard to pull off, but once you get the timing right, you can pretty much consistently hit it whenever you need to. This move is amazing. This move is so underused by so many Tom and Jerry players. It took me so long to consistently start using this move, but it's honestly such an unpredictable move that a lot of people get hit by all the time. I catch so many people just walking into this move, not realizing the ground hitbox is like literally like ridiculous. And it's pretty much true into up air or tennis racket or a lot of other things. You do this into, does a lot of damage. Continue with up air, slingshot, etc. Continue strings like that. You can do this into this, do this, charge. Just pretty crazy. Just a lot of shit you can do with that move. And then the down strong. This is not a very good move. It's a decent finisher to your jab. Like, it does some damage, but 22 compared to... So, normal jab does 12. That does, like, what, 13, I think? Something like that, unless I failed math. It just does not just doing it. It just doesn't do enough damage, and it doesn't kind of recover enough space. Honestly, the only time I use this move is whenever I'm misinputting a down air. There's sometimes, though, that you can catch people using with this. It's really not a terrible strong. It's just there's no real use for it, and it doesn't really combo into anything. It's just a combo ender, usually. It's like one of those moves where it's like, it's not bad, but Tom and Jerry just have better moves in their pocket. You know what I'm saying? What's some other moves? So, a lot of his aerials are self-explanatory. Like the forward air is pretty strong, does a lot of damage. One of my favorite ways to cover space, especially while approaching. Really good way to edge guard too. Decent kill move. Sometimes you'll find kills with this move, but not very often. You'll have to be at very, very high percents. Like, for example, I could maybe try to find a kill on the spot, but not really going to find it very often, honestly. Just a great way to cover space, in my opinion. And the double hit kind of throws people off sometimes because of how early it comes out. Up air and down air, this is the bread and butter of killing with this character. Sometimes you'll find slingshot kills with this character, I won't even lie, but up air and down air are usually going to be your go-to kill moves. I will be fishing for down airs 90% of the time if I notice you're above the percent of, I would say about 130%, guys. This is usually when you'll start digging for kill confirms with this move. So, test it out, see what your kill moves are, see what the easiest ways to get in on them is, because there's a lot of characters who I can usually predict. Like, for example, one of my favorite ways to kill Shaggies is if they come in and side special you. A lot of them will have last stand, or whatever it's called, one last doinks, and they'll try to side B at you, so you can wait around it, and usually find that kill if they're like 130 plus. So if I put them like 135. You don't want to move into it, like I just did. You don't want to just move into it, you want to wait for it to end, and usually you can find that kill. So you can time it a certain way, and then usually you can find that kill. You gotta kind of get use of a lot of mobility options people have. So practice getting down airs on people because it's one of the best ways to kill. And even though it is really readable and people will notice whenever you're spamming it, it's one of the best ways to fish for kills just overall. I've noticed it's so consistent. Up air is the same exact deal. Up air, sweet spot, actually kills, like I think earlier slightly, over down air. So if you can try to... I'm not hitting it. It's a very hard sweet spot to hit, I won't even lie.
I totally let you win that time.
I pretty much never hit it unless I get extremely lucky. There we go. So pretty much you want to be hitting where Tom is. Like basically where Tom is, so...
Come on, man. No fair.
And even then sometimes you'll kind of get robbed with the hitbox. So again, you can shark for it, you can get some good kills, but overall, I've noticed that consistently I just do not kill as much with up air as I do with down air. But one of the greatest ways to kill is ping pong into up air. Is honestly one of the best ways to kill. If you can catch somebody off guard, or catch somebody out of it and not give a move, you can just...
I think I'm getting even stronger.
You just charge a little bit. And if you hit the sweet spot of it especially, try practicing that, and then you'll realize that oftentimes you get the kill. Also, DI is one of the most common ways that you'll end up fumbling that sweet spot hit. So make sure you practice all types of DI if possible. So again, most times you'll hit the corners of the pan, just kind of how it is. You're not really consistently going to hit the sweet spot. Like I said, his bread and butters are like... Again, you won't consistently hit that against great players, but again, it's a great combo to know. Another consistent one that I hit pretty often is boom, boom. You know, that's like a pretty good amount of damage. Does like, what, 24? Yeah, again, just does a lot of damage. Another good combo is slingshot downwards, tennis, slingshot downwards where they're at, boom, boom, and just approach with tennis racket. Again, learn approaching with tennis racket because it's one of the best ways to cover space. Again. So, just some other great tricks I think I've learned over the course of playing this character is slingshot is one of the greatest ways to catch people off guard while they're recovering. If you notice people are low on jumps or low on recoveries, let's say I hit him away with a half-charge tennis racket, I can just read his recovery with that, and even though he's dodging because he's an AI, a lot of the times you'll catch people off guard with it. Even though you'll kill Jerry, you really don't need Jerry that much at high percents because all you're really going to be doing is just fishing for downers once they get on stage anyway. And maybe sometimes you'll throw out a dynamite to cover some space. you're never really going to be doing much melt. It's also not once your Jerry's dead. So if they're at high percents, don't really worry about losing Jerry as much as you usually would. Usually just going to be fishing for those down air strings anyway, so yeah. So yeah, definitely try to hit some slingshot combos on people because, again, remember, whenever they're at high percents and I knock him all the way off stage, I can jump and it'll spike him downwards. So at like 100, if they're completely off stage, say I have my Jerry, right? And I know he's recovering high pretty often. I hit him with a nice knockback move. Hit him like that. And then sometimes if you find a forward air or down air, you can usually kill him at the end of at the edge of the stage. Tom and Jerry off stage is all about reading with his aerials. Now, you'll notice how people recover is that sometimes they'll just spam their side B like movement options, like Shaggy's will, Taz's will, even sometimes Finn's will, for example. So you'll notice the best ways to catch them off guard is to wait till the end of it and then hit them with either a slingshot or wait for the startup of their side B or whatever movement option they commonly use. Boom, down air. Wait for them to come in like that and you can easily find kills. Again, you just want to find some great ways to cover space, and again, down B and neutral B are your best friends for getting rushdown characters off you. It's one of the best ways to find space like that. Also, master the down air patterns. So learn how to fast fall into a down air. Because there's a lot of times where people don't know how to down air properly, so they'll go like this and they'll just not be aiming right. So you gotta learn how to fast fall into a down air. But one of the best ways to do that is using a C stick if you have one in order to down air. So you can, or you can also down fast fall, or you can also dodge fast fall. One of the best ways to find down air kills on people, because down air, again, it will be your bread and butter for killing people.
You think that will stop me?
You can also learn how to use triple jump in order to maximize your up air into, or down air into up air kills.
Feels like my blood sugar
So
is
yeah,
getting
there's a
low.
lot of tricks you can learn about this character that's hard to explain in just one video. I can make a part 2 to this. But overall, that's pretty much everything for the kit. Everything else you kind of just got to learn mechanically and just how to use it. So in terms of perks, I like to use a lot of different perks. Right now I've been using CoffeeZilla a lot in 1v1s because, again, this is more of a 1v1 type video. CoffeeZilla is so useful because dynamite sticks are one of your best ways to get people off you. I'm also not entirely sure if this applies to Jerry. I would be surprised if it doesn't. So I highly recommend it. So I recommend Make It Rain Dog. It's actually a pretty decent perk. There's like 6 perks I swap between when this character. Not sometimes match dependent, sometimes not. So Make It Rain Dog is a great perk because it shuts down a lot of rushdown characters and it makes people not be able to react to your stuff as quick. So let's say I down B into a tennis racket. It'll be extremely fast, especially if I like half charge it. You just cannot react to that. Like, look at that. It's too quick. And same deal with Slingshot. Slingshot will be even more annoying to deal with. You can also hit tennis balls a lot earlier because they'll be moving quicker. You can be smoothing a lot more if you're using this perk. I also really like Flammable Dock because it does a lot more damage. It adds like an extra 2 damage to each of your combos with Pan into like Slingshot, for example, or like Slingshot into Pan, or tennis ball into Pan, etc. Just a lot of different combos that involve Pan, basically, really help make this do a lot more damage. But I think triple jump is pretty much necessary on this character because there is sharking you can do on platform maps or just on any map in general if you use up air. So I highly recommend triple jump. It's just so useful. So yeah, and I also think that using Deadshot could be pretty good too, to make it so you do 5% more damage with projectiles. Snowball effect can also be good for damage, so I highly recommend maybe trying out that. If you're dealing with a lot of projectiles and you're playing against a projectile team or character, try out Clear the Air. It's a great way to counter, for my experience, Batarang is a really annoying move sometimes to deal with if your Jerry's dead, so having Clear the Air could be nice. You can also use Tasmanian Trigonometry, helps a lot just overall with, knockback. Very underrated perk in my opinion. If you don't like CoffeeZilla and you dodge a lot, if you have very good dodge reflexes, you can use I dodge, we dodge, you dodge, or whatever this one is called. It's so OP if you have like a really good dodging skills, because you'll notice that your like abilities will come right off cooldown. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I'm sorry about the extremely long guide, but there's just a lot of intricacies of this character. I don't think I got the cover properly. If you guys have any questions in the comments, make sure you guys, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, because I would love to hear what you guys have to ask about this character. Because honestly, he's a really fun character. I'm really excited he's getting more hype after Evo, and I hope he doesn't get nerfed. So anyway guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, peace out. Take care.